Hoochie
Thank
Daddy
you.
shorts is hoochie.
I've been doing the Hoochie Daddy thing for a few years now.
You should teach a class.
I do Hoochie Daddy classes on the side.
Lyndon invites me on a date to see him.
Hey guys, and welcome. Wait, man, this. Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Button 91. We're talking to you guys, obviously, about Morgan and Lyndon. And I'm talking about this situation about Morgan can be more authentic with Lyndon. I want to break down the reason why. Maybe I can help one of you guys as well who are watching this be more authentic on your dates and give you the keys to being that authentic person and showing up, not just with your representative, but who you really are as well on these dates. Now, I think the most important and potent point here is that Morgan isn't as invested in Lyndon as she is with Tony. Tony also, too, like she said, is coming on to her strong romantically, whereas Lyndon, they're trying to establish what kind of fun they're having, what kind of connection they have. I mean, she has a connection with him, as she said, but she's trying to establish what kind of connection they have and just how far it's going to go. I think this is really important. I mean, the reality of what she's really saying is there's no pressure on me, and therefore I can share more with you because I'm not in competition with you. I'm also not heavily invested in you emotionally as I am with Tony. There is no risk factor in sharing these things because the blowback is not going to be the same because I'm not as invested in you. Because you see, the reality of Morgan for me is that there is walls up, and the walls are up in terms of being emotionally vulnerable. That's just my opinion. I think that she's not as emotionally vulnerable. And I think when it comes to Lyndon, because there's less pressure, she can be emotionally vulnerable all she wants. And to the point where she can even be sexually vulnerable and say some innuendos and, say some things about Lyndon, like, you're wearing your hoochie daddy shorts, you should teach a class. And, did anybody grab your balls? Like, you never heard her speak like that to Tony. I never heard her make no sexual jokes with Tony, as far as I'm aware anyway, right? Well, from what we see, every time the conversation is put on, it's usually about, what he has other women. But with Lyndon, she doesn't really do that. Again, he hasn't got many women like Tony has. And so she's not hearing reports about Lyndon doing everything X, Y, and Z. Which leads me to another point, which is about her control. She enjoys the control that she has with Lyndon. In terms of who has the most power between herself and Lyndon, she has all the power. But anyway, I'm talking too much. I'm going too deep into my analysis without really allowing you guys to first do the intro. If you're new to this channel, I need you to do me a massive favor. You're going to like this video. Click on it right now. You're going to share and you're going to subscribe to the channel as well. I want you to subscribe and then click on that bell button so you're getting notified of when I upload as well. And for those of you who are returnees who know what it is, baby, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated. Okay, let's get into this video. Let's play a little bit more of the clip.
I finally get that one-on-one connection. I was really excited. You look like a real grown man sitting over there.
I try to give that off.
I think you got it.
Thank you.
Lyndon's one of those like understated men. Why?
Now, she states to us very clearly, Lyndon's one of those understated men. Okay. But then when you go on to describe Tony, that's not how you describe Tony, right? It's not even a comparison the way you actually described it, right? You talk about understated, in a very subtle way. You find him attractive. He's handsome to you or good looking or sexy to you, etc., right? He's understated. But then you talk about the aggressiveness of Tony in the next breath about how he's pursuing you. So I didn't really see that as a comparison per se. It's not a direct comparison. They were almost in two different brackets. And so for me, that's why I said they made it obvious that she's not as invested in Lyndon at all. Lyndon is her pawn in her game. And it sounds so black and white and so bad, but that's the reality oftentimes, what life is. He's a pawn in her game to keep leverage in her interactions with Tony, to keep her level-headed and to keep her going too far, liking him, and he's not doing the same, right? It's like a sandbag or sandbank he represents, right? So the water's shore can't come too close to the shore. I get it.
Tony is coming on to me romantically. I really want to establish the chemistry and the spark. We already have it, but I want more of it.
Now, you notice that she said that but Tony's coming on to me more romantically. So romantically and understated are two different things. right? Unless she meant like, he's coming on to her, but understatedly in a sense. But I don't really see that as a positive in the relationship with with Lyndon. And in a minute or two, she's about to make a joke as well about if anyone's grabbing his balls, and we'll break it down.
How was the party last night?
Work was busy.
Nobody trying to grab your junk?
No one tried to grab my junk yet.
See how easy that flowed? See how easy she was able to say, anybody grab your junk? We never really saw that kind of joking in that particular way with Tony. We might have seen it last episode when they were talking finally at dinner and stuff, but I think for the past previous weeks, we haven't really seen that much with them. We've seen more tension go into their conversations. And I think the reason why she can be more authentic with him and be more open with him is simply because the risk factor isn't there. Like, if she opens herself up emotionally and vulnerably to Lyndon, she's not emotionally invested in Lyndon the same way she is with Tony. Tony is the bigger fish. She wants Tony more than she wants Lyndon. Therefore, there's more risk attached to being open and being hurt and rejected. So it's easier to open up yourself in that instance with someone like Lyndon. She's more, like I said, she's more focused on power playing with Lyndon to make sure that he's a sandbank between her and Tony. All right. And so when you don't like someone as much as you do the other person, you can take these risks because you don't care. That's the reality. You don't care as much, right? You can go gon ho. Well, I don't care. I got other women, so to be honest, it's what it is, right? So you're not thinking about the risk of loss because you understand you can assuage that loss because that person isn't as important. When that person's number one priority and number one in your, it's the only person I want, you start to think carefully about what you do say and what you do. Okay. All right. She's in control in this interaction. And in fact, it's so funny because later on, Tony even says, look, she's over there talking to him, trying to butter him up, but I'm not fazed by that. So he can see that she's buttering him up. She can see that how she's playing up to him and sucking him in and making him think he has a chance. He ain't got a chance. I agree with Tony. He don't have a chance. The only chance he's got is if Tony messes up completely, like wildly. That's the only way. I mean, it does happen. So it's not to say that it won't happen. I think this conversation went somewhere interesting, right? Let me see if I can play a little more.
Yesterday.
Oh, hold on. That's not the clip I wanted. I wanted to play the clip where they're talking again. I want to get this part up. Because this part was so interesting because he talks about his trust. We know that Lyndon has trust issues. He mentioned that with Jonique earlier on in the season as well. And really the trust issues is emotional vulnerability and emotional availability, and whether you're emotionally avoidant. This is the real definition of what we're actually really talking about. When people say they can't trust, what they mean is I can't share myself emotionally, I'm emotionally avoidant, and probably I'm more emotionally unavailable because I don't want to trust somebody and they break that trust. I don't want to give someone that level of power once more over me again to be able to do that. Let's have a look.
Great partner. So it's hard to fall in love with someone if you can't trust them.
Trust is a big one. That's been like a problem for me with past relationships. Like go out.
So trust a big one for his past relationships. Why? Because the girls that he usually chooses are not comfortable with his lifestyle. That's fair. I can't hate on that, and so those women who obviously are with him have to be more comfortable with his lifestyle of him being able to be around other women. Okay, I get it. It can be a little bit daunting for anybody trying to date somebody who's so heavily in the scene. But what the thing that gets me is, and I'll mention this in another video, he has a networking spirit. What I mean by that is, I don't think he's emotionally, it doesn't give much, I don't think he gives much emotional depth. And the reason why is because he's always networking. Now, he talks about this, about how, he's always in network mode. But the reality is, I think he's in network mode when he's even talking to girls. Because when we see his conversation with Sue-Ann, it's very mirroring and similar to the conversation with Marcia, where you haven't put much work in, but you're expecting maximum returns. And, I messaged you, but you didn't message me back, or you know what, I didn't message you for a few weeks and then I messaged you one time. You can do that with your networkers. Can't do that with somebody you're pursuing. If you generally are pursuing someone truthfully, you can't put half measures in. You gotta either invest or don't invest at all. And so with Marcia, he did the exact same thing that he also did later on with Sue-Ann. Like, how come you didn't text me back? You know, she's like, well, you haven't been messaging me, so I don't know what you talk about. If you don't message, you're not going to get no message back. If you don't invest, you won't get a return on your investment because you never invested in the first place, right? So the trust issue, again, going back to that trust issue, you know, he may want to look into that. I want to just get to this part as well.
A lot, and I network all the time.
It's going to take a certain kind of woman to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Strong-minded woman, someone that's very confident.
It sounded like you were describing yourself.
I may be, low-key. That's why I do like talking to you. I can be really transparent with you.
So Morgan then lets us know that key word now. I can really be transparent with you. I can really be open with you. I can talk to you. I don't feel that judgment in the same way. And it's because she's not measuring up to his standard. In reality, with Tony, she's trying to measure up to his standard. She wants to be proven that she's worthy of Tony's love. She doesn't need to do the same thing with Lyndon because Lyndon's already conquered. So she needs not to work for his affections. She already has it. With Tony, he's split. He's got her, got Marcia, got Janique. It doesn't seem like he's fully solely focused on her, which is what she complained about. So that's why she can't be fully transparent, because if she does, there's an opportunity for him to hurt her. But with Lyndon, he's got no other connection. It's just him. She can be as transparent as she wants because she realizes he ain't going nowhere. This is why I said he's a pawn compared to being Tony. She really wants Tony. Tony's number 1, 2, and 3. Right? So the pressure can make you not want to reveal you something, or the pressure of realizing that the person has other people they're interested in can make you pull back. But the reality is, in order to be more aware of what a person's like, you actually got to pull in. Don't pull out. I mean, pull out if you're in your girl. Like, don't do that. But you know what I mean? Like, all jokes aside, you gotta be aware that in this instance, being vulnerable allows you to notice what other people do with your vulnerability. Whether they use it against you, whether they're able to listen, whether they're able to understand, empathize. You know, it will let you know when you speak. But anyway, listen, like, share, subscribe, guys. Click on that bell button. Do me a massive favor. Like the video again once more. If you want some coaching, shout me. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. But listen, stay locked and stay loaded. And we look forward to the next video as well. Little Black.